Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna do something pretty quick, like a tutorial, like a quick and dirty type of thing. It's about DaVinci Resolve and it's basically how to edit. If you're new to the platform of DaVinci Resolve, to the software, I know how confusing it could be, either because you have never used editing software before or because you come from either iMovie, Final Cut or Premiere Pro. I'm really used to the Adobe products, so it was an easy way to go to Premiere Pro. I kind of gravitated towards that. But when it comes to DaVinci Resolve, things are a little bit different. I'm not a pro by any means, but I'm gonna share what I know and I'm just gonna try to keep it as simple as possible. Again, this is super beginner friendly, so I'm gonna include like timestamps, so feel free to rewind, or if you know the concepts, hey, you know it already, kudos for you. If you don't know them, just feel free to, watch it again. I'm gonna try to be as easy as possible. First thing you have to do, open DaVinci Resolve. So here we go, we open in the project, and then the basic things that we need to know in here, we have a couple things called databases. Database is pretty much your hard drive. So if you're working with different hard drives in here, if you have external hard drives, that's what you put in your database, is basically the path for your files or for DaVinci Resolve to create a memory for you. In every database, you can store different projects in that. Okay. Here you have different options. You can either keep working on a project that you're already working on, or you can just come up with a new project. Let's start with a new project. Click on new project. We're gonna name the project. The project is gonna be called, let me take these things out of here. It's gonna be called demo. I don't want, let's call it test one. Test one, we're gonna create a project. Feel free to, rewind if you need to. And then what it will open is the whole page of DaVinci Resolve. It has a lot of things. I know it's a little bit complex at first, but do not feel intimidated by that. You have the media pool. Here's where all your media or all the footage and sound effects, video, audio, whatever you name it, everything is gonna live within your movie. It's in there. Then you have the editing page. Those are the only two we're gonna work with today. Also, then you have color. We're not gonna touch that today. Music, we're not gonna touch that today. And delivery, which is the export page, is your export settings basically. So first thing first. The first thing you have to do is you're gonna import the clips. You can either drag and drop, easy. Other way to do it, well, you just go to the top of the screen, you click on file, then you're gonna import file, import media. You can also do Command I or Control I. I do not have a PC, so I have no clue. I'm assuming it's Control. Other ways is just a little command and the letter I, or just click on import media. Simple as that. You're gonna find the folder with your footage. In this case, I'm gonna find this. I know I shot some footage from my Canon M50 the other day. So what I do is you can drag and drop every single file. You can open every single file, or you can just select everything. To select, click on the first file, hold shift, go to the last one, and then you open. Ta-da! Everything is in there. This is all your media. From your media page, you have a couple of things in there. These are your hard drives. Here on this side, you have your audio, your metadata, and your capture. Audio is this portion on top of here. If you want more retail space, hey, take it off. If you want to see the metadata of this, or the metadata for this, well, this is what the clip is, the frames, the beat depth, etc., etc., etc. All those things that most people don't use it. This is for colorists and professional people. If you don't care about that, skip that. If you don't want to see that, click on that. If you lose that and want to see it again, click again, click again. That's all you need to know for that. From here, you can do a couple of things. This is called your master. And if you see the left corner of the screen, here's your master. This is where everything is stored. That's your project. You're working on this project. We call it test one, as you can see in the top. If it says edited, means that we're still working on it. So you have to regularly save. Apple, you save with Command S, and that's it. It is safe. And from here, what you can do is you can create bins. And a bin is basically a folder. It's a fancy word for it, I guess. So what you do is you can create with Control. Then you have your timelines, and you can add a bin. In this case, I'm gonna add a bin for timelines. That's the way it works. I'm gonna rename it timelines. We have all our media here. So what we have to do now is go to the edit page. If you go to the edit page, you click on this second icon right here. You might have a third one. Another one in there, I just, the cut page, I do not use the cut page. I kind of got rid of it because it doesn't make much sense for me, so whatever. What you're gonna do in here is you can either create a timeline by dragging and dropping, and that immediately creates a timeline for you with the settings of that footage. You can rename that timeline. I don't like doing that. I don't find it a good way for me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this empty space. I'm gonna create a timeline. So create new timeline using selected bin. Right there, this timeline, I'm gonna call it interview. It's interview footage. Right there, you have a couple of options, of course. The start time code is always 1 hour. By default, is always 1 hour. But then you can change your settings in here. So you can click on custom settings, and what you care about in here is the format of that. The format tells you it is in HD, which is 1920 by 1080. This is the proportions of that, and it's shot in 24 frames per second. I know my Canon M50 does not shoot in 24 frames per second. It does shoot in 23.976. It's very specific, but I know that. So you click on that, and then you just create. So now everything that you have in there is in real time. It imported absolutely everything. I don't want that. Let me just delete all this footage from there. And then my interview timeline, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it to my bin. If you wanna make these icons larger or smaller, there's a little thingy here. Just gonna move it around. And I'm gonna move my timelines there, just to kind of keep things clean a little bit. If you wanna see it in a list, just kind of go in here and list, or those little icons. I don't know what's the name of that. Whatever. Same thing as an Apple Mac computer, I'm sorry. And now we're going to see the media that we have. So just click on a file. Okay, so this is an MP4 file. I'm going to click on that file, and I'm going to move. I'm going to scrub within that file. And I'm just going to pick a portion or select a portion. Easiest way to do this is, rather than, you have 3 options in here. You can grab the whole file, and then you can start trimming the file. That's kind of lazy, I guess. Another way to do it, which I find more interesting is, or I find it easier for me, is you go to the portion that you want. Let's find something that is not too shaky from this file. It's an interview I did a couple of days ago from a documentary that I shot. And remember this, you need to remember this. I, the letter I, you press it, and it creates an insert point. You're gonna see that insert point right there. So let me keep playing. That's your insert point. So everything from that point on is selected at this point. And then you just go to whatever you want that frame to end. Right there, you press O for an out point. Then you have 3 options. Pretty simple. 3 options. The first one is you can grab just the video. So you see these 2 icons in here. This is just the video or just the audio. If you grab just the video, then only the video appears in there. If you go back to your file and then you grab just the audio, then just the audio appears there. It's magical, right? And then if you go to the third option, which is I think what everyone else is going to use, you go to that option, then you grab everything from the middle, and then everything is linked together. Let me get rid of this too. Once you're there, let's say you want to zoom in. You have 3 options. Do you see these 3 rulers? This one shows you the entire timeline. This one zooms in to whatever the playhead, this thing, playhead, whatever this thing is, it zooms in into that. And this one, I have no clue what it is. If you need to zoom in and out, you kind of go from here. Another option to do that, keywords or shortcuts, if you will, I'm gonna list them there as well, as Command plus, and then everything, it's bigger, Command minus, and everything is smaller. That's pretty sweet. So you have the first file, right? And then if you go spacebar, that's what you have. Then we're gonna select a different angle just because I want to select a different angle. So we have the side angle. I'm gonna press I, then I'm gonna continue with whatever I want to see. I'm gonna press O. I'm gonna select the whole file. So I now have 2 cuts. So if I go from one scene to the other, ta-da! Magic happens. That's editing. And now let's say you want to see a different angle for whatever reason, right? Let's try to find something different. So I have this kind of a low angle, I don't know, for interview setup, whatever it is. I, spacebar, place everything, or just hit here, play. And, oh, that's your out point. From this portion, let's say that the only thing I want to see here is the video. So what I do is I just grab the video and then I put the video on top. One thing that DaVinci Resolve does is that it keeps whatever is on top video-wise, that's what is gonna play on the playback. So you come from this scene to this different angle, and then we're gonna switch. But what is happening is we're keeping the voice or the audio from the other file. That's basically what it is. If you want to move things around, hey, if you go to the end of the file or the end of the thing, and then you can just move it back and forth. Same thing here. If you go in the middle, you can move it around. Pretty simple. If you want to change the order, move up, change the order, and what happens is, let me just cut this a little bit, and then you're gonna see that things have changed. Let's say you don't want to do that for whatever reason, right? Let's go back to the original arrangement we had. You don't want to do that for whatever reason, and then you just want to trim things. You want to cut things down. This is where the shortcuts are super handy. You're gonna need two keys, letter A and letter B. Letter A is your pointer. This is your pointer. Letter B is your cutting tool. This is your cutting tool. So if you press B, it automatically switches to your cutting tool. If you press A, it goes to your pointer. That's all you need to know. Simple as that. So let's say I want to interject the file. For whatever reason, I'm gonna go crazy with it, and I'm gonna make a cut here on the playhead. I'm gonna keep around, cut on the playhead, cut right on the line of the playhead, cut, and cut. And then I want to delete things from that because, yeah, just because, right? So I'm gonna delete this, I'm gonna delete this. And now this footage has a little bit of weird personality, but that's how it works. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to know, basically. If you want to do fades in, fades out, different topic, we'll talk about that later. One thing that is important, and I'm gonna just add an extra element, which is ripple delete. And this is me when I didn't have a beard a long time ago, like 3 weeks ago. Oh, footage is super shaky. Okay. Now, we're gonna grab that piece, right? And I'm gonna grab that piece and have it here. Let's say you have some space in between. If you have that space in between, you can do two things. The first one is you can drag and drop everything. That's an option. Make sure this thing is always connected. This is like a magnet thing and makes everything snap like that. If you don't have it connected, then you might just, go over footage and delete things that you don't want. So keep this selected all the time. Also, going back to the topic. If you want to delete what is in the middle, use delete, as simple as that. Same thing for the audio. This just happened because of another reason, which is linked. If you have this thing linked, whenever you move the footage, the audio will move with it. But if you have this thing deselected, whenever you move the video, the audio will not move. And this number is how much out of sync it is. So if you want to bring it back in sync, just kind of move it around. I tend to have it like this just because sometimes I want to do some things. For example, this. If you put it in the middle, it kind of shrinks or move both files at the same time. And let's say I just want to kind of have an edit that kind of, it's more interesting. That's kind of what I use it for. Again, this is your timeline. That's basically what it is. Bonus tip, if you want to do a little bit of a fade in, fade out for whatever reason. I think that's kind of cheesy 90s, but whatever. You kind of grab here from the corner and magic happens. Look at this. Boom. That's about it. Same thing here. You want to end in an atmosphere where everything feels like super elevated. Bam. Beautiful. Now, let's delete this empty space. And oops, I messed up. Okay, let's go back. Link everything. Click here. Go back. Unlink because I don't like it link, of course. And let's say this is your project, right? You go from the beginning. I have about 12 seconds of footage because you have an IG story of some sorts and you want to be fancy with all your friends. So the only thing you do is, you have your edit. It plays really nice. You're super happy with it. It's life transforming. Your mom thinks it's amazing. Your dad is going to give you a trophy and you deserve a medal. So the next thing you do is you go to the export or launch. This little cool 90s icon in here. So pretty simple. when you are exporting a file, you're done with your edit, you're happy with it, right? You want to export your file. You have presets in here for YouTube, Vimeo, ProRes. This is if you have a super large file that you want to share with a colorist, H264 super compressed, etc, etc, etc. You can even export for Final Cut Pro if you feel more comfortable with that, or for Premiere Pro, of course. And for Pro Tools if you're working audio, if you have a studio working audio for you. In this case, we don't care about that. We're gonna keep it simple because we have a YouTube channel. We're gonna export for YouTube. So the first thing you do is you name it here, edit 1, or you know what, let's call it rough cut IG from Instagram. And then you're gonna find a location for that. A location is just where are you gonna place the folder or the file so you can find it, and then do export it, send it, I don't know, do anything with it, whatever you want. So you click that, browse. It opens up a menu. Again, I have a Mac, so you can change the name in here if you want to. Let's say you forgot to add settings, right? So this is going to be HD, so it's going to be 1920 by 1080, and it's going to be a 23.976 FPS. All that mumbo jumbo just makes it look more pro, I guess. And then you're going to find whatever you want to save it. By default, this is where my computer is saving, just because my database is inside this DV test. That was it. I guess that's when I set it up. So let's say I'm going to find a folder. So I have a folder prepared in here. This folder is called O1. You can name it whatever you want. Let's say you want to make a new folder for your exports. So my exports, I'm going to name the folder exports. And right inside my exports, I'm going to save it. It has a path for that. Then we're going to deal with the settings. The easiest way for you to export is via QuickTime. It's a very small file that is easy to manage, easy to share, very shareable, of course. And the codec is H264. H264 is almost like a universal, a low, good resolution file. You can go Apple ProRes. That's massive. It's pretty much all memory in your computer. So don't do that yet. Unless you're a pro with this. But if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're not a pro. You're just kind of learning like me. And that's what it is. I'm exporting on the frame rate of the video. I shot in 23.976. If by any chance I decide to change the frame rate to 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, you're going to find that it becomes glitchy. You can always just stop it and then just go back and change your settings. Try to remember the settings that you shot everything in. If you're shooting an iPhone, most likely your iPhone is recording at 30 frames per second. So from the beginning, set your timeline to 30 frames per second. So right here, you can find, if you need to export an Ultra HD, it's going to be super grainy because our timeline wasn't set up for that. But you can do it if you want. If you want to give it a try, don't worry, you're not going to break your computer. So we're going to keep it by default what it is. We're going to keep it default to what it is. Add to render queue, and you have it right here. What you do next is you just start your render. If you're exporting multiple files, let's say I want to export another file which is 720 by 486, that's a little bit lower quality, and I want to export again in 23 frames per second under the same name, I add to render queue. You can batch render everything, so you can just shift select everything and start the render, or you can just simply render the one you like. You know it is selected if you see this outline around it. That's it. So if you don't want to export one of the files, you just close it. Let's export this, start rendering. It's going to take 12 seconds. That's the magic of Resolve. It is super quick. And that's it. That's all you do. So now if you want to check your beautiful file, let's open the file. This is your rough cut. Life-changing. Simple. I hope you guys have learned anything. And if you like content like this, please thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any questions, something I didn't cover, something that wasn't covered in depth, let me know. I'll try to do my best. I'm not an expert in editing, but I just kind of get by. At least enough to put simple things together. Have a good one, guys. Please don't mind the background. I'm changing my setup again for the 5th time in 6 months. Whatever. COVID times. See you. Peace. Love you. Bye.